Yes, my beautiful people, what's going on? It's Creamslice. I hope you're having a great day. So today, I just want to give it to you guys straight. One of the first builds that we brought to you when Solar 3.0 dropped in the season was the consecration build with the Synthoceps, and this was an absolute monster. But there was some confusion around a certain mod not taking this build to its full potential, but Bungie has come in as a superhero and just save the day. And what they have done, they have stealth buffed the heavy-handed mod, so you know which way this build is going. Titan, sit back, this build is crazy. So what this mod does with this build is it allows you to chain consecration, which is so powerful. You can now chain it back to back to back, and it just decimates everything. It's an ad clearing machine. We took this build into a solo nightfall just to see how well it performed. We managed to get to the final boss. I've got a little guardian that has just come into my life, which takes up a lot of time. So just as we was about to demolish the boss, crying starts. You know how it goes, family life. But I'll save that for another day. So, but yeah, we're gonna get into this Titan build, man, and we're gonna just shed some more light on it because its final form is absolutely mental. I like a one-man army, so let's get into it. So if we go straight into the build from the subclass, we have consecration on. Basically what this melee does is when you slide, you activate your charge melee, and it pretty much sends a flamethrower wave across the floor, and then if you press your melee again, you will slam down, scorching absolutely everything. And guys, this literally one-shots champions, immediately ignite, and you can take it to a whole new level with some of the fragments we're going to be using. But this is definitely one of the most powerful melees in the game right now, hands down. I do believe that this build now, with heavy-handed working with it, makes Titans the strongest. What you want to do, you want to pair it with Soul Invictus, so every time we get a solar kill, an ignition, we create sunspots, which gives us restoration, it cures us, and not only that, it regens all of our abilities. So you already know that this is like a pretty much infinity loop of melees and grenades. And the great thing about it as well with consecration is you actually have two melees with you, so you can use the throwing hammer if you want. So you guys know what the throwing hammer does. You throw it, you boink something, you pick the hammer up, it gives you cure. And it's just a really nice touch, especially if you have like a 1-2 punch shotgun. You have the best of both worlds. So we're going to be using Ember of Ashes, so we apply more scorch stacks to targets, which means when we are using the consecration ability, we will be able to ignite enemies a lot quicker because the scorch stacks will shoot up. We have Ember of Eruption. Our solar ignitions, they have an increased AoE damage, which pretty much latches onto enemies. So like I said, guys, with it being an absolute ad clearing machine, you throw your melee up, the wave of flamethrower on the ground, and you slam down and everything is just gone. There's just sunspots and ash all over the place. Then we've got Ember of Char. Our solar ignition spreads scorch to affected target. This gives you a nice plus 10 discipline. And last but not least, we have Ember of Torches. Every time we're using our melee attack, which is going to be the main focus of this build, we then get a nice buff to our weapon damage as well. So as you could imagine, you're in higher tier content, you're constantly using your consecration, you and your allies are constantly radiant. The Synthoceps, basically when you are surrounded by 3 or more enemies, you get increased melee range, but not only that, it increases your melee damage by 200% inside the PvE, and it also buffs your super by 50%. I've always said it, guys, with pretty much any Titan build that requires just punching shit, Synthoceps are like the best, hands down. Worm Gods, you can use it with this build, but it requires a lot of setup, and in harder tier content, you don't really have the time, or it's a bit risky. But with Synthoceps, you're always going to be surrounded, and they just give you that amazing power to just take consecration to another level. So we're rocking heavy-handed. Basically, when you charge with light, you regain half of your melee energy when you used a charge melee attack. So what was happening before the recent buff is this wasn't proccing with consecration. You could equip the mod, but you weren't getting half of your melee back. But now, as soon as you slam back down, guys, your half a chunk of melee is right there. We're using melee well maker, so when we're using our consecration ability, we're creating a solar elemental well. And on the chest piece, we've got 2 thermoshock platings for our arc and solar damage, and we have an elemental charge mod on there as well. So when we pick up that solar elemental well, we become charged with light with 2 stacks. So that enables us always to have stacks of charge with light to take advantage of heavy-handed. On the boots, we have well of life, so when we pick up that solar well, we get a nice chunk of healing. So where the survivability comes in with this build, we're at 100 resilience, giving us a 40% damage reduction inside of PvE. We have well of life working for 10 seconds when we're picking up solar wells, and not only that, we have our sunspots, guys, and we have our throwing hammer. So there's a lot of survivability with this build, and it just makes me think that this build could just be so crazy. 3 titans running this build is game over. And on the head there, on the helmet, we are running charged up, so now we can get up to, I'm sure it's 3 or 4 stacks of charge with light. So we're never running out with the heavy-handed mod. We've always got the elemental wells boosting our ability. We've got the sunspots boosting our ability, because every time we get a consecration kill, we're going to be creating a sunspot. So you can throw on whatever mods you want with your champions and stuff. It's really simple setup, but it's one of the most powerful builds in the game, guys. So I'll leave it there. The weapons are going to be totally your choice in what you're using. If you do have a 1-punch shotgun, that'll go amazing with this build as well. But yeah, I hope you like it. Go try it out.